Hi, good morning. It is absolutely early morning here. It's like 5:30 or so, 5:40. I am here today with a weekend review. Um, it was a little bit better than last week, I think. I read 4 books, watched a couple movies. I received some stuff in the mail. I did get a pre-order in. Um, I think I didn't think I was going to get any books this for a good long while, but I did have a pre-order come in. Um, this weekend I might be going to Barnes and Noble, and I'm mostly concerned with online shopping. So next week there might be a bit more of a haul. But let's talk about what I read last week and watched and everything. So this is a week in review. I talk about what I've read, what I've watched, what I'm getting rid of, what I received, anything physical media. So what I received, I have a CD in there this time. I think I'm going to start hauling those as well. So first up, what I've read and watched. The first thing is I read Horns by Joe Hill. Horns is a horror novel from about 2011 about this young man who a year ago his girlfriend died. And he was the main suspect because literally right before she was found dead, they were seen arguing, in a bar. And he didn't do it, so he doesn't get arrested or charged with the crime. But everybody thinks he just did it and got away with it. And one morning he wakes up and he's got these horns growing out of his head. And if somebody sees him with these horns, they start telling him their deepest, darkest secrets. This was so good. I use this for Herkiad Even Bigger Rainbow Black. So I got a bit here. Is mostly black. I'm kind of working on the Bigger Rainbow right now. It's kind of my next goal for Herkiad. But oh my gosh, this book felt like I don't know. This is one of those horror novels that just has a lot of layers to it that I can just really appreciate on a craft level. Like it reminded me of something like Devil House by John Darnielle. Um, I loved the character work in this. I loved the hopping around in time and hopping sideways in time and how all that really just kind of added more to the story. I loved how there wasn't a wasted page in this. Like none of this was like, okay, we don't actually need to be knowing about this. All of it had so much relevancy, and I just oh man, I loved it. I loved it so much. I kind of liked Lee. I mean, every so often there'll be a villain where I'm like, oh, that's my favorite, and I also liked how we did get to see Lee's backstory. It wasn't just like we're just we're just gonna tell you that he's evil, but we get to see his backstory, which was cool. That was cool. I thought that was super cool. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I've said this a lot this year, and I actually even went on my blog, um, and I listed out all the books that I've said this about this year. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of my top 10 of the year. But again, I've said that a lot this year. It might not make it. All right, I watched 2 movies this week. The first one was Bruce Almighty, which came out in 2005, 2003, sorry. And you might say, Aurora, why are you showing me a picture? Don't you just watch your DVDs? Yes, but this is in like a multi-pack thing. So Bruce Almighty. Bruce Almighty is a comedy from the early 2000s, uh, a Jim Carrey comedy, and it follows this man Bruce who is a struggling news reporter who has a live-in girlfriend that he doesn't appreciate, and he's a jackass. He's such a jackass, and I get that he has to be kind of bad in order to redeem him. But holy shit, man! Like he was terrible. Like I did not want to watch him doing anything because he was awful. And I get that this is like an early 2000s comedy staple, but I'm gonna say I think this is the first time where I've watched one of those and understand the hate past the hype. Like we've got a whole bunch of people who really always really love these early 2000s comedies, and we've got a whole bunch of people that are like, it's actually terrible. The men in this are terrible if you actually look at it. And most of the time, I'm like, okay, yeah, but I can look past it. I can't with this one, man. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I don't fucking know. Then I read Last Days by Adam Neville, and this was the majority of my reading week, was reading Last Days. This is my first book by Adam Neville. This I use for spooky creatures, other, because it is absolutely an other kind of spooky creature. Um, Last Days follows this uh, struggling filmmaker, and he gets the chance to make a documentary on a cult. And he is told that he's going to get a bunch of money. Everything's already figured out. All the airfare, all the interviews are already settled. All he has to do is show up with his camera and actually do the work. And he, as he gets further into it, he realizes that he may have bit off more than he can chew, and that there may actually be something more going on here than just making a documentary. I had a lot of fun with this. This is one of those really fun horror novels. Like, this wasn't one that I'm going to keep around or really feel very strongly about. This isn't going to be on my top favorites of the year. This isn't one that I'm going to, you know, think about when I'm thinking about my favorite horror novels. However, this is one that if somebody's looking for horror novel recommendations, I'll probably point them towards this one. The atmosphere in this book was insane. Don't drink my coffee, please, man. Sorry, cat trying to drink my coffee. The atmosphere in this book was insane. I do think that the final stretch kind of dragged out a little bit too long. So in that last little bit, when Kyle is having the worst time of his life, it stretched out a little bit too long. The first 400 pages or so, beautiful. I didn't even care that they were a little bit clunky sometimes because they were just really, really interesting. As Kyle was figuring everything out, it was really, really interesting. But after he'd figured everything out, and when it was time to do something about it, that's when it was like, well, okay, like you're being a little bit too long winded, a little bit too long winded here, Adam. But no, I think this would make a fantastic TV miniseries. Honestly, I enjoyed Kyle as the main character. I don't know what it is. I just love a useless proto artistic man in his late 20s or early 30s. Like, my favorite kind of male character, honestly. Um, but no, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think that this is one that I would definitely look at if you are really into cult horror or if you are looking for a new horror author. I know Adam Neville has written a host of other books, including The Ritual, which does have a Netflix adaptation, I believe. But not bad, not bad. All right, then I watched another movie, and this is one I actually watched with my fifth graders because we just finished reading the book. We had an early out, so I was like, what the hell, we're going to watch the movie. That's Hoot from 2006. Hoot is a childhood movie for me. It was a childhood book for me. It's a big childhood thing for me. So everything I'm saying, not entirely um, objective. So Hoot follows this kid named Roy Eberhart, and he is moving to Florida with his family from Montana. And he loved Montana. But moves to Florida, and it's terrible because Florida's terrible. I think this is possibly part of why I loved Hoot so much as a kid, is because we went to Florida for vacation like the summer I turned 9, and it was the worst experience of my entire, like, I hated it so much. So maybe that's why I liked it Hoot so much, just because, like, yeah, Florida fucking sucks. But Carl Hyacin doesn't actually think that Florida sucks. Carl Hyacin loves Florida. Anyway, off track. And it's terrible. Like, he gets immediately, he gets targeted by bullies, and he just hates all the concrete, and it's way too hot. Everything's okay. Now I'm talking about my own experiences with Florida again. Anyway, it sucks. But then he gets wrapped up with this mysterious running boy that he sees when the school bully is shoving his head against the glass window of the school bus, um, and talking about saving the little owls. And I'm gonna say, I do love this movie. Like, I just do. I think it's a very good children's movie. I also, oh my god, love watching a movie with a group of fifth graders right after we've read the book, because there was so much like, oh, is that Roy? Is that Beatrice? Is that Mulfingers? Who's this? What? Like, it was. They were so interested and excited to see what they had read on the screen. I think it's such a fun experience as a teacher, and one of the reasons why, not one of the reasons, but it's just another kind of supplementary reason as to why I think we should be teaching full novels in elementary school. Anyway, then I read Mystery Ride by Robert Boswell. This one used for Avatar, air on the cover, because there's a lot of sky. What the fuck ever. And so Mystery Ride follows this family. We've got Angela and we've got Stephen. And when they were young, they were so deeply in love, and they bought this farm in Iowa. And then Angela left. And we are mostly in the timeline after Angela left, because Angela and Stephen have this daughter, Dulcie, and Dulcie is an issue. Dulcie is a problem. She is not. She's a caricature of a rebellious teenager. Like, she's not an actual character on her own. She's a caricature of a rebellious teenager, and she is a capital P problem. And so Angela's like, we're gonna send you to Iowa to live with your dad. But then Angela's also got her own issues going on, and her new husband has issues going on. and then she's also pregnant, and it's just there's okay, that might be a spoiler, but it's I didn't like it. This is not my kind of book. Like sometimes you'll read a literary fiction novel from 1992 and it'll be the best thing you've ever read, and sometimes it's Mystery Ride. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. All right, and then the last thing I read, it was a lit journal, so I'm not gonna have much to say. I did use it for Even Bigger Rainbow Yellow. This is Ninth Letter, Volume 21, Number 1, Spring Summer 2024. I got this because at one point I submitted to Ninth Letter. I didn't get in, but they did send me a copy of the lit journal. Um, I will say it is beautifully laid out. I think it's a gorgeous piece of work. It's a lit journal. It's extremely pretentious, but I can have fun with that as a former English major. So, this is what I read last week, and the only one I'm keeping is Horns. I'm getting rid of all 3 of these. So I'm keeping up Horns. I'm getting rid of the other 3. The pre-order is Empire of the Dawn by Jay Kristoff. I read the first 2 books. I think I only read the second book this year, and then I pre-ordered the 3rd book. I really enjoy this trilogy. I don't know if it's. I think it's a trilogy. It might be a full series, but I'm fairly certain this is okay. Good conclusion. Wonderful. It is a trilogy. Um, I really enjoy a dark fantasy vampire story, and I really liked. I think I liked book 2 less than I liked book 1, but it's a good time. I did also pick up a CD. I picked up Breathe Carolina's Hell Is What You Make It. I have been really making a lot of progress on uh, ripping all of my CDs and putting them onto a flash drive that I just listen to from my computer rather than using Spotify. You can kind of see that my CDs are filling up. As I'm ripping them up, I'm also going through them. Some of them I'm getting rid of. But picked up Breathe Carolina, Hell's What You Make It. And then I also picked up a DVD. I picked up Clown in the Cornfield. I haven't read the book yet. I own the book. I think I own the first 2 books. But I have seen too many clips on TikTok for me to not pick up the DVD. So I have it now. So there's that. That is this week's Week in Review. This is a short week. We have Monday, Tuesday off. We have Friday off because we're going to state football. We might have half of Thursday off. Depends on how volleyball does. So I'm hoping I can read a fuck ton this week. That is my goal. I should also focus in on my grad school a little bit, but it is what it is. I did also finish up the second draft of a pentology novella this weekend. So that'll, I mean, it's going to be a while until I get to the actual final. I'm going to let it sit for a bit. But I believe that's going to be my next release is going to be a Colin novella, following how he got from the end of book 5 to where he is in class B, because it's a little bit like, well, weren't you somewhere else? I had a lot of fun writing it. It was really interesting to write a book where the main character is bad. He's terrible. But trying to figure out how to explain that and how to make him semi-sympathetic without absolving him of everything he's done. Because I do truly believe that people who are not good people generally have some reason behind it. Like it's never like people I think are very rarely just born evil, you know. So there's that. I am also working on, because I just finished a draft, I'm working on new covers. I just messaged somebody for Carl and Jimmy, so Carl and Jimmy's getting a new cover soon. Super exciting. I know that's the one we all needed to get a new cover. But yeah, that is that. That is everything. That's everything that's been going on. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.